sitting on a bench outside of the Michigan State men's basketball locker room in the pretty beautiful Breslin Center in East Lansing, Michigan. I'm Alden Woods. This is Sam Beiseisen. And we just saw what really wasn't much of a basketball game. Michigan State beat Indiana 70-50 tonight, and I think that's kind of a flattering scoreline. We saw a lot of those points from Indiana come, at the end, and when the game was pretty much over. It was over 5 minutes into the first half, or into the second half, I would say. And then from then on, it was just killing time, and we had to see what the final score was. Sam, what happened in this game?
Well, I think first and foremost, Twitter went out on us in the middle.
Twitter broke.
That was weird.
How do we write?
Very roughly. But yeah, Michigan State kind of came out really early and just put a throttle down on Indiana. They were up 19-4 after about 10.5 minutes. Indiana couldn't do anything offensively. It really frustrated Tom Crean. After the game, I think it was fair to say he was the most frustrated today as he was all year after any game. He just talked about how his team was soft. Cuts weren't made sharply. They weren't rebounding. They weren't going in transition. I think that's the biggest thing is this Indiana team didn't look like it was trying in transition, which led to 6 Michigan State dunks in the first half. Crean talked a lot about how he mentioned how he doesn't do the captain's C's on any jerseys because he doesn't think that there should be a captain. I guess everybody should just be a leader. But he said if he did, that C would be ripped off after today's game because there was no leadership from anybody. He said he left it in Bloomington. And then he kind of took blame for that, weirdly. He said, maybe that's my fault that we didn't bring any leaders from Bloomington. But Indiana, just poor performance. And frustrating for Indiana after what was a really good win against Nebraska.
Good game against Georgetown.
Good game against Georgetown.
They lost, but a good game.
Yeah, it was an overtime game at Madison Square Garden against Georgetown, neutral site. That was a successful non-conference season in general, leading to a good start to Big Ten, and then fall flat on your face. 20 points to a Michigan State team that Indiana had no business beating all day.
Right, and it was the way that it happened. You said that nobody really looked like they wanted it, and in the first half, especially in the first half, there were 4 or 5 possessions in a row where Yogi Ferrell was dribbling the ball and nobody moved.
Yeah.
And we saw less than 5 minutes into the game, Tom Crean had to burn a timeout because his players weren't doing anything. There were 12 seconds on the shot clock and nobody had moved. Yogi was just standing in the corner dribbling, and nobody had done anything. So Indiana shoots 28% from the field in this game. They shoot 3 for 19, I believe. I'm sorry, they shoot 5 from 24 from three-point range. Those are both well below their season averages. They're both definitely season lows. The lowest since that kind of terrible game against Northwestern in Assembly Hall in January. And this was the worst offensive performance I've seen from any team this season. And we've seen some really bad teams play this season. We've seen New Orleans and Savannah State. And this Indiana team tonight put together a really, really bad show.
Yeah, Indiana was 5 of 28 shooting in the first half. Indiana, this team that prides itself in offense, okay, our defense may be bad at times. We'll shoot our lights out. We'll go and compete against anybody. And we talked about that just yesterday on our preview for this game, that Indiana can pride itself in keeping up with anybody, but then you can't win games when James Blackman Jr., who was your leading scorer at 17.5 points per game, about there, shot 1 of 14 today.
He missed 13 shots.
0 of 8 in the first half. He knocked down, I think, a few free throws. He had six free throws. Finished the game with 8 points. You can't have your leading scorer do that. Another player that kind of just disappeared today, Troy Williams, only played 17 minutes. He was 0 of 2 shooting. Had 1 rebound, 2 personal fouls. He didn't do anything. After having the last 3 or 4 games, every game we said, oh, that's Troy's new best game. Oh, that's Troy's new best game. This could have been one of Troy's worst games. He didn't turn the ball over very much. Indiana actually didn't turn the ball over pretty much at all as a team. I think they had 6 turnovers. So that was fine, but they just weren't making any shots. Hanner, too, was kind of non-existent. He only played 10 minutes today.
Yeah, and with Hanner, against Nebraska, that second half, we talked about it last night, actually, in our preview for this game, that was the best we've ever seen Hanner Mosquera-Perea play. And tonight, Tom Crean said that his job is up. Hanner's job in the starting lineup is in jeopardy. For the first time all year, he gave an indication that maybe Hanner is not the answer. He said, for 2 years, Hanner put in no work. And he's been putting in work this year, but it's just not showing on the court,
That's incredibly telling for a coach to say, for 2 years, I know he's speaking in hyperbole, but for 2 years, Hanner didn't put in enough work or any.
He didn't have to. He was playing behind Cody Zeller and Noah Vonleh. He wasn't ever going to hit the floor.
But still, to say that, this guy who's our starting center wasn't putting in work the last 2 years, that's just, what does that say for Hanner? What does that say for, I guess, what Crean thinks of Hanner at this point? Obviously, he's frustrated. I'd be frustrated after a 20-point loss that, wasn't even that close.
No.
But just to he didn't hold any punches back going out. Hanner, Troy talked about how James just has to play better, and that's just kind of obvious.
Everybody but Yogi Ferrell. He said everybody but Yogi Ferrell needed more effort, needed more heart, needed more leadership, and that's true. You know, as always, Yogi Ferrell is the catalyst for this team, and they go as he goes. And sometimes they don't actually go along with him. He shot 6 for 16 tonight, but a lot of those were forced because nobody's doing anything else. And it's to the point where I almost feel bad for him. You know, for 2 years, he's been the best player on the floor for this Indiana team, and he's carried them. But nobody else seems to really be carrying or picking up the slack.
I think he so badly wants to be a distributor. I really do. I don't think he wants to be a score first point guard. I don't think he wants to be, you know, the Derrick Rose of a team that you just kind of have to take over and do everything yourself kind of a little bit. I think he wants to be the kind of guy that goes out there and distributes the ball, can score.
He's said as much.
I think he likes that. I think he likes getting to the rim and doing that. I think he just equally, and I think he has mentioned this, he equally likes getting into the painted area, forcing everybody to collapse on him, and then finding Nick Zeisloft in the corner. I think he loves that just as much as scoring, and he just doesn't have the teammates right now. It's amazing to me that James Blackman Jr. can go from some of those nights he had, at home, against the Grand Canyons of the world, where he's shooting lights out.
We did against SMU, too.
SMU,
good SMU team.
Even Pittsburgh, I thought he played okay, if I remember that right. Maybe I might
20 against Pittsburgh.
I might make I mean, the point is he was averaging 17.5 points for a reason.
Yeah.
But then for him to come out today and 1 of 14, and I don't want to be hard just on James Blackman, but he's your leading scorer. He's the guy that Indiana kind of has relied on and needs to rely on. And when you're getting that type of performance just across the board, you just can't do anything. And Indiana needs, like Kareem even mentioned that, Indiana needs to hurry up. He said that a few times this year. They need to grow up quick. They need to hurry up quick. But, you know, this is go time. This is Big Ten season. It's not going to get any easier. Yeah, you're going back home, but you're going back home to play Ohio State. So what does that mean? You know, we don't really know because we can't tell who's good in the Big Ten right now.
Right.
But it's just a long road ahead if you're going to have games like tonight.
Yeah, so IU takes the court again next Saturday night against Ohio State. I believe that's a 9 o'clock tip-off.
Oh, it's either 9. I think it is.
I believe it's a 9 o'clock p.m. tip-off against Ohio State at home. And we'll probably see Emmett Holt on the floor in the starting lineup.
He could start. You talked about this. You thought Big Ten season. You said Nebraska.
I thought Nebraska, by the time Big Ten season started, Emmett Holt would be the starting center for Indiana. I think we were. You agreed.
I agreed.
I think we were 2 games late.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance that he's the one starting. I don't know if that means he's going to take the majority of the minutes, so the starter's minutes, but I think you're going to throw him out there to begin with.
Yeah, because it's mighty tough for a coach to go out there and say, you know, Hanner Mosquera-Perea isn't getting it done. Hanner Mosquera-Perea has lost his starting job, and then give it back to him again on Saturday. It's unfair to do to, especially a freshman kid in Emmett Holt, who's played really well in limited minutes so far.
Yeah, he was okay today. 2 of 3, had 4 points.
Scored Indiana's first basket off the bench.
Off the bench, and that's a bad sign. He was unguarded. 22 minutes though, and he got 2 boards in 22 minutes. That was kind of telling because Indiana only grabbed 28 boards. But you know, it's just the point of this day. We talked about it after the game when we were waiting for the coaches to come out. Indiana led for 14 seconds. 14 seconds. And
2-1.
Yeah, 2-1, and then Michigan State rallied off a 69-48 run in the final 39 minutes, 48 seconds.
Anyway, that's not good math. Anyway, from the Breslin Center in East Lansing, Michigan, I'm Alden Woods. This is Sam Bicehazen. We'll be back with you in Bloomington on Saturday night. In the meantime, read our stuff on idsnews.com. It is up right now, and we will see you on Saturday.